Do you recall when you got the call that you responded to?
Yes, I approximately got the call around 2:15 in the morning by our Sergeant Tyler DeArmond, and I arrived approximately at 02:40 in the morning.
Do you know if Sergeant DeArmond was the first on the scene, or do you know who the first on the scene was?
As far as detectives, ma'am, no, I don't know. There was plenty of patrol officers there.
Okay. Why would Sergeant DeArmond contact you as opposed to anybody else?
We have a supervisor that is on call during time frame like every other week, and then the detective's on call once a week. So I was on call that evening. He was a supervisor. He gets the calls and filters it down to the on-call supervisor. I'm sorry, on-call detective.
Do you know if Sergeant DeArmond was on the scene before he called you in, or did he just get the call?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I think he was. I can't remember.
All right, so the call came in at you got the call at 2:15,
Yes,
and you responded to the scene?
yes. 700 block of Young Love.
What did you do next?
I secured the scene there. Well, the scene was already secured, so I just kind of assisted with looking for evidence and looking for witnesses. At that time, the patrol officer did have Miss Hill there as a witness, and I then had her escorted back to the police department where I conducted an interview.
So Miss Hill was on the scene when you arrived
Yes.
on the scene, and you said you had her escorted back to the police department?
Correct.
You conducted the interview, did anybody else?
Just myself.
Okay. About what time was that?
It wasn't too long after I got there. I don't have the time written down. It would be on the interview, the recorded interview we did.
Would a 3:24 a.m. sound about correct?
That sounded about right. Like I said, it wasn't too long after I arrived on scene. Once I got there, like I said, more detectives ended up showing up, so I was able to leave the scene and conduct the interview.
Okay. Was there anybody else on the scene that indicated that they had observed what had happened?
It wasn't told to me if there was or not. I'm not sure.
What made you feel the need to interview this particular witness so quickly?
She was identified as one of the patrol officers as being a witness, so we try to get those witnesses interviewed as soon as we can.
Okay, and try to get them interviewed as quickly as possible. Memories are fresh?
Correct.
Okay. Now, during the course of that interview, she never identified a suspect, or she never identified a shooter by name, correct?
Not by name, no, ma'am.
What was her identification of who she believed the shooter was?
Give me 1 second. She actually identified two people out there. She identified one as being a tall black male that the victim was arguing with at first. She said she heard gunshots and saw a short black male wearing a red shirt, long dreads, holding a gun, and running away from the scene.
Through the course of that interview, she made it a point several times to state she did not know if that individual was the shooter.
I have not had time to review the interview, so I'm not
Okay.
too sure exactly what was said in there.
Okay. So you don't recall if she said she wasn't sure if he was the shooter, but that was the only person she saw with a gun?
To that effect, sure.
Okay. Now, I believe in your notes you indicate that initial interview was about 30 or 45 minutes?
Approximately.
Okay. And again, she never identified, I believe it was this person who was that short black male.
Not by name, no, ma'am.